Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. This time around, we're going to Bengaluru, and
Yeah.
we're diving into a story, a really sad story about Atul Supash.
Hmm.
He's a 34-year-old software engineer, and he tragically took his own life.
Mm.
And we have a news report detailing what happened,
Okay.
and we're going to try to kind of unpack it all
Yeah.
because it's complicated. There's
Yeah.
a lot of layers here. There's like financial strain,
Mm.
legal battles, mental health. It's kind of a
All wrapped up in one.
it's a lot, and
Yeah.
it kind of brings up these big questions about
Yeah.
like how can we survive
Yeah.
as a society? How can we help people who are
Yeah.
struggling? So we're gonna try to do that today. So let's start with like the basics.
Yeah.
So Atul, he was living in Horamavu in Bengaluru,
Right.
and he was found deceased in his apartment.
Mm.
And, you know, like I said, he was a software engineer. And I think it's important to remember that, like,
Absolutely.
he was a person,
Yeah. A human
right?
being with a story.
Right? Like, we have to look at this as like an individual
Mm-hmm.
before we can even begin to
Mm.
look at like the circumstances and all of that.
Mm.
So he was earning 84,000 a month, which on the surface sounds like, you know,
It's
decent,
bad. Yeah.
right? Especially in India.
Mm.
But he was also paying 40,000 a month in child support.
Whoa.
So that's like almost half his income right there.
More than half.
Yeah, more than half. And, you know, it just kind of makes you think like, wow, like what kind of pressure was he under?
Right. Yeah.
It's easy to assume like,
Ain't
oh,
nice.
you're
They
making
have
this
that
much
much money.
you're fine.
Right.
But clearly that wasn't the case.
Right. And a lot of people are in that situation where
Yeah.
they look okay on the surface,
Right.
but underneath there's all this pressure, all this strain.
Exactly. And research shows that a lot of people don't even talk about their financial troubles.
Yeah. It's almost like taboo.
Right.
People are embarrassed.
They're embarrassed. And they
Don't want to admit they're struggling.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they just kind of like keep it to themselves.
Yeah.
And you know, it can really build up.
Yeah. And it's hard to know how to help people if they're not saying anything.
Right. You can't help somebody who's not asking for help.
Yeah.
Or who won't admit
Yeah.
that they need help.
Exactly.
And in Atul's case, he left behind a suicide note.
Oh, wow.
And it was really powerful. Like it's really it hit me hard reading it.
Yeah.
And he says in it, he asks the question, how can someone survive
Mm-hmm.
when they're left with so little?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like so raw.
Yeah.
And you can just feel the desperation in his words.
Yeah.
And then, you know, she also talks about the legal battles that he was going through
Okay.
with his wife. And those were ongoing. So you can imagine
Too adding to the stress.
adding to the stress.
And emotional strain.
And legal fees.
You know how expensive that can get?
Oh my gosh. Especially when it's like a
Divorce in custody.
divorce, yeah.
Especially if it's contentious.
Exactly. And you know, it's just this feeling of being trapped.
Yeah.
Like you're in this system and
Like can't get out.
you can't get out. And you know, I was thinking about this and it kind of made me think about like Bengaluru as a city,
Yeah.
right? It's like this thriving tech hub,
It's a boom town.
right? Everybody's like going there
Yeah. All this energy.
to try to like
Make their dreams come true.
to make their dreams come true and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there's just this
Energy.
energy, this excitement. And it's exciting, but I can also imagine that it can be incredibly isolating to be in this place where like everybody else seems to be succeeding,
Yeah. Like you said,
thriving, and you're like
Who's stuck?
stuck in this
Yeah.
in this terrible situation. I don't know, have you ever felt that way?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, I think. I think everybody has at some point.
Like that kind of like pressure cooker.
Mm-hmm.
Like the world expects you to do one thing
Yeah. And you're falling short.
and you're falling short.
Or you're just not able to keep up.
Exactly. And it's tough.
Yeah.
It really is. And you know, Atul's story is it's one individual,
Mm-hmm.
but it also speaks to like a
A bigger issue.
bigger
Societal.
societal problem,
Right. The cost of living,
especially in these cities.
especially in cities like Bengaluru.
Yeah.
It's just like
Skyrocketing.
and the pressure that puts on
Yeah.
people, especially like
Single parents
single parents.
who are trying to make ends meet.
Exactly. And then you layer on top of that, you know, legal battles, child support. It's just like,
It's a recipe for disaster.
it's just like, how can anybody survive?
Yeah, how do you even get ahead?
Right. And you know, the police are still investigating
Okay.
Atul's death. There's a post-mortem examination that needs to be done, all that stuff. But I think we also need to think about the mental health aspect of this.
It's so important.
Right, because in his suicide note, Atul does point a finger of blame at his wife.
Okay.
But, it's never complicated.
It's never that simple.
There's always more to the story.
Right? Like, how do we even approach a situation like this where somebody is, placing blame? But at the same time, like, we need to be
empathetic.
We need to be empathetic.
Understanding.
It's just like...
It's a tough balance.
It's so tough.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing is to make sure that
people have support.
People have support.
Yeah.
And that we're not just like paying lip service.
Yeah. We're not just saying, oh, mental health matters.
Right.
And then doing nothing.
Yeah, it has to be like
actionable.
Like, what can we actually do to help people who are struggling?
Yeah.
And, imagine, like, if Bengaluru had, like, free counseling available for everybody.
Yeah. And readily available.
Yeah.
Months-long wait list.
Exactly. And like support groups.
Support groups are great.
Where people can, like,
connect with others.
Connect with each other who are
going through the same thing.
And realize that they're not alone.
Yeah.
And like, financial guidance programs.
Yeah. Help people budget.
Right. Help people learn how to manage their money. Like, these are all things that we could be doing.
Absolutely.
And maybe, just maybe.
Yeah.
If these things were in place, tragedies like Atul's could be prevented.
Yeah.
So yeah, Atul's story it's a tragedy, and it's a reminder that there are a lot of people out there who are struggling.
Yeah.
And that we need to do more to help them.
I think one of the biggest things is to try to be more empathetic.
Yeah. And to really listen.
To listen when people are talking to us.
Even if they're not explicitly saying, hey, I'm having a hard time. To be aware.
To be aware of the struggles that people might be going through. And to create an environment where people feel
safe.
To talk about it.
And to ask for help.
Yeah.
Because nobody should have to go through this alone.
Especially in a city as vibrant as Bengaluru.
Really. There's so much life there.
Yeah. So, if you're out there and you're struggling, please reach out.
Yeah.
There are resources.
There are helplines.
There are helplines.
Support groups.
People who want to help you.
Yeah.
You don't have to face this alone. And that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time.